little treat tonight with Alex Sabio here. He's going to give us all the ins and outs of the short-term rental Airbnb space. So thanks for coming, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thing.
Everyone seems to be scared and sitting in the back there. I know. I'm like, yes. Appreciate it. Hey guys, so thank you for having me. Really appreciate the invite here. Let me take a quick poll. How many are rookies to real estate? Like that's their first, never had to invest. Okay, so I'm gonna offer an extension to you guys and everyone else to take my card later on, and I'll give you a free like 1 hour call. Okay, yeah. And I'll help guide you because someone out there helped me along the way. I really enjoy helping someone new. And you'll see some people like my buddy Omid, who's in the audience here, go from like 0 to 30 rentals in like 2 to 3 years, right? So yeah, I really enjoy helping others. I never expect anything out of it. If you guys ever get success or anything along the way, I ask for 2 things. Number 1, just text me, give me a shout out, because it gives me energy. Because I'm like, dang, I gotta step up my game here, right? And the other thing I always ask people is take someone else along with you, okay? So pay it forward, take someone else along with you. So how many don't know what short-term rentals are? Everyone understands short-term rentals, okay, cool. So this is me, Alex Sabio. If you guys film anything, hook me up, tag me on Instagram today, put me on your stories, at the real Alex Sabio, okay? So married father of 4, live here in Southern California. I'm in the Inland Empire, okay? I do have a W-2. I'm Filipino, so obviously I'm in the healthcare, okay? Very middle class, not an overnight success. I wish I had a better story to tell you guys. There's a lot of gurus out there that are 20 years old making $1 million on Airbnb overnight. That's just not my story at all. I've had a lot of failures. But with me, I just kept going at it, okay? I kept failing forward, started investing in like mid to early 2000s. 2008 was really rough for me, right? Market completely crashed and I was greatly affected by that. So I started in single family. I actually had a foreclosure, right? So real estate is very forgiving, and I actually had a bankruptcy. It was like extremely embarrassing for me. But, you know, I think my story is a lot more common than what most people, like the gurus, tell you, right? Started investing in multifamily real estate. That didn't really pan out. So I started investing in short-term rentals in August of 2020, not that long ago, right? And really, I was looking for a tax break. My CPA who lives telling me, hey, you could get some, you know, I was working so overtime at the hospital. I was working 5, 6, 7 days a week, just trying to save up some money, but I was getting taxed like crazy. And then she kind of threw me a little bone. She said, you should consider investing in short-term rentals because there's a really good loophole there. She should have told me it cash flows so much more, right? I would have jumped right in right away, but she said, oh, I have some clients making good money, but you'll probably get away with, you know, we'll lower your tax liability. So 2 years in a row, I haven't paid anything in taxes. So, and now I'm getting into hotels and commercial assets, right? So, I mean, my bankruptcy was maybe 10 years ago. So you could turn it around really quick. This is why I do it. I have 4 kids. They're all old now. I mean, my oldest is in UCSD, so I have to figure out a way to pay for college, right? The others, I don't know. I'm not going to pay for them. So. My wife, she's actually a respiratory therapist also too. Her specialty is in NICU. And a lot of my story has to do with getting uncomfortable, right? So during COVID, I'm a respiratory therapist. I'm in the front line of the front line. Remember a story of me taking care of an L&D nurse in the ICU. She was 6 months pregnant. She was 24 weeks pregnant. And she had to get put on life support, right? I'm thinking, dang, you know, did she get COVID because of exposure in the medical field? And this is like June, July of 2020. And remember, like we take COVID lightly now, but back then we didn't know numbers were going up. Everyone's freaking out, double mask. I took care of the mom in the ICU. We intubated her. My other specialties, I work with premature babies. So I took care of the mom. We had to deliver the baby 4 months mature. So I took care of the baby, right? And then the dad comes in about a week later, and he gets intubated, and I take care of the dad. My dad wound up dying. It's all over the news. So it's not HIPAA. I mean, it's public information. And this is an L&D nurse I took care of. So in my mind, I can't leave my kids, you know what I mean, like without a mom. And my wife's a respiratory therapist, right? So I had to do whatever I could to replace her income. So she retired within 3 months of investing our short-term rental. So it was like getting myself uncomfortable. I needed to get my wife safe and out of that environment, right? Real estate's very forgiving. My first ever real estate investment was a scam. 2004, I lost $16,000. Imagine if I invested it in Amazon or Tesla back then or whatever. It was a group called Mile High Capital Group. Wound up being a Ponzi scheme. The guy went to jail, was sentenced to 130 years. I think I saw like $1,000. But for whatever reason, my wife said, just keep going with it. Like she should have pumped the brakes right then and there. Like, we're not doing this. You're not good at it, right? But I kept going. I acquired several other long-term rentals in different states. People say, like, why don't you invest here in California? But at the time, I was like, I was too cheap, right? I was like, oh, let me buy something $100,000. These homes here are $300,000, and they didn't make sense for me at that time. Bought a house in 2008 for $465,000 in Loma Linda. And it seems like everyone knew when I signed the papers because they said, let's crash the market right now. So wound up trying to self-manage that, had awful tenants. And I wound up, after 2 years, okay, my mortgage payment was like $3,200. And my rent was $2,000. Yeah, awful investor, right? Got scammed out of money, like negative cash flow. But my wife still said, keep going. I don't know what she saw in me. So had a foreclosure bankruptcy. But you know, time was on my side. I took risk and I learned a lot of stuff. And over time, I still had a lot of these long-term rentals that I called them revenue neutral because I really didn't make any money. Like the mortgage would be $1,000 and they would rent for like $1,000. Right? And a lot of them, some of them were negative cash flowing. And when I filed for bankruptcy, it was funny because the bank said, we don't want those properties, and those things are garbage. But luckily, I kept them. And over time, the rents went up, and then my the mortgage rates went down, and I refinanced. And at a certain point, I was cash flowing like $200, $300, $400 each one. So I started making a little bit of room. And then and over time, the values went up. So I did what's called a 1031 exchange. Respiratory therapist, 21 years now. Really decent pay. I think with me, I was comfortable. Like this company pays their employees extremely well, gives them comfortable. They don't really try to invest in anything else, but they wound up working 30 years. And I couldn't do that, right? Paying tons of taxes because I was working. My wife was a RT. I've kind of done it all. I've worked in trauma centers, burn centers. I've worked with neonates. The smallest one I worked with, it was 270 grams. The smallest neonate still alive. I transport babies. COVID was extremely challenged. At a certain point, I was getting really burnt out. Even though I really enjoyed my job, at a certain point, I felt like I wasn't really getting anywhere, right? And I felt like financial freedom was a must. This is actually a picture of me picking up a baby. It's not a sunset. There's actually a fire behind it. This is Kaiser in Moreno Valley. Right, and we're actually like transporting all of the babies into different Kaisers. So, and this is us with all of our PPE. So this is kind of my story. So imagine playing Monopoly and never buying any assets or investments that generate income, right? Imagine you just went around collecting $200, giving your money to the rich and trying to stay out of jail. Never really acquire assets. And so this one right here, this is for $50,000, like almost 5 years ago today, because I borrowed $50,000 from my 401k, paid this off cash, About 2.5 years later, I buy something 10 times more expensive. I buy my first short-term rental for $625,000. And next month, we close on a 76-unit hotel. That's $3.6 million. So that's just playing Monopoly, right? Just moving on up, acquiring more and more assets. For those of you that don't know me, I'm cheap as hell. I won't spend any. I haven't bought ketchup in years. Like my wife tries to buy ketchup. I'm like, what is wrong with you? There's packets of ketchup everywhere. Like we have a big packet. So I don't like spending money. I'm just obsessed with growing it. Okay. This is our first short-term rental. This is like the day we close, right? We're really happy, but what the hell we're doing. So we closed August of 2020. It's brand new construction. Something about short-term rentals and short-term rental markets, a lot of them come fully furnished. You don't have to go there because think about it. The people that are selling short-term rentals, they're not going to take a U-Haul and get all the furniture. A lot of it comes with it, but this was brand new construction. That gave us a little bit more ease. We felt more comfortable going with something brand new. We purchased it for $625,000. At the time, the seller paid all closing costs. Like we got in at there's this really small window where nobody was buying real estate. And this house sat on the market for 42 days, right? And I still dragged my feet. It took me 3 days to come back to my realtor and say, let's go ahead and make a full price offer and then maybe have them pay closing costs. They said done. No, at the time, nobody was buying it. 4-bedroom, 3-bath. We put about 18% down. One thing to know about short-term rentals, back then the program was a lot more, used. There's a lot more fees now, but you could purchase a home with 10% down. So at the time, we were going to put $63,000 to purchase this property. 2 weeks before closing, my lender comes up to me and says, I can't close the deal for you because you have a bankruptcy. Like, crap. So I have to put more money down. But we still went through with it. The first 12 months, it grossed $130,000. That's with us not knowing what the hell we're doing. If we knew what we were doing, we would have gotten more money. And we kept about half of that. This is after all mortgage, taxes, fees, cleaning fees, utilities, all of that. We kept half of it. So, that was life-changing for us. Like right away, we're cash flowing $5,000 a month. That's how my wife was able to retire right away. Okay. The next 12 months generated $135,000. So we're getting a little bit better. And it recently just appraised for $970,000. We wound up just doing a cash out refinance and I got all my money back. I got $160,000 in my pocket, tax-free, and now we have a free house pretty much. That's the way I look at it. So stir, I don't know what the right terminology is. And the most important thing is we learned a business. Right, so a lot of people are really scared about taking that first step. Now, this was a home run for us, but a lot of times it's, can you get a base hit and double and then eventually start to, learn a business and maybe you'll be better down the road. This is the second short-term rental we got. We call it the Only 10 I See. We closed, almost like 10 months later, right? And at this point, we know we're all in on short-term rentals. The biggest mistake I made is that I wanted to buy brand new construction and it took them forever to build. I should have bought all of these existing short at the time. So that was a little frustrating, but what I found is that this has an indoor pool. This has a basement down here and there's an indoor pool. Those things generate so much more money. So we purchased it for you know what, that's wrong. We purchased it for $680,000. Gross revenue was $148,000. We kept about $75,000. So right away, like the first year, we're generating about $130,000 of income first year in business, right? And a comp just sold in the neighborhood for $1.2 million. Yeah, so the other cool thing is I started networking with others. So I know my neighbor and every single owner on that block. And we started creating Facebook pages and just really started helping others. So this is a beach home. I don't really like beach homes. Beach homes there's a lot of partiers that go there. A lot of kids are like, hey, I just graduated high school. Could I rent your house? I'm like, no, you can't do that. But so anyway, it was $625,000. What I did is I had a lot of those long-term rentals that the banks didn't want. Slowly, they went up in price. Tenants paid them the mortgage down. So I sold those and I started buying more short-term rentals because now I'm all in. I'm like, oh my God. And not only that, we're enjoying the business. And I feel like I have this life hack, and I just want to tell the world about it. That's why I enjoy speaking in front of people, because I just want to see other people do the same thing. This one generated about $120,000 the first year. There's a lot of wear and tear with something with the beach, but a lot of it is me trying to buy homes for tax reasons, so that way it helps offset my W-2 income. So that's why I purchased this one. Very, very seasonal. Like you're trying to make all of your money within 5 months or so, and then like 7 months, sometimes it's like completely empty. One of my other beach homes, this is a condo. Condos are a pain in the ass. I probably wouldn't buy one again. We have an $18,000 assessment fee coming this year. So they took all my money, so I want to sell it. So like this one was empty for like 2.5 months, right? It was an emotional buy for me. Like for me, coming where I came from, there's no way in my mind that I would have envisioned owning a beach home. And here I was buying 3 of them. It was in Alabama though. You could imagine people's faces like, oh my God, I finally purchased a beach home. They're like, oh, Huntington Beach, like Newport? Like, what? It's in Alabama. Alabama? What? Right. It's actually in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Water is crystal clear, beautiful beach. Actually, I wish I lived close by, because in the off season, when it's empty, I would stay there all the time. And that's sad, this is one of the nicest homes I own. I'm probably gonna sell it, so. Hillside Hideaway, this is the closest, most recent one. So closed on December of last year, purchase price, $590,000. This is what the indoor pools look like. They're really tiny, but people love them. Estimated gross income, the location is a little bit further away than my other ones. So this one's probably on the low end gonna generate about $120,000 a year. So it's $10,000 a month. My mortgage payment's probably $3,600. After all expenses and everything, this thing's probably on the conservative side gonna cash flow me $3,000-$4,000 a month. Yeah. Here's the other thing, funny story. They took 2 years to build it, and they built me the wrong house. I purchased a 4-bedroom, and they built me a 3-bedroom. You know what? It's still gonna cash flow. It's cool. Yeah. So most recent one, comp sold for $950,000. So while I got something under contract, and oh my God, if I was smarter, so I called my agent and she said, hey, we're opening up a brand new community. There's 22 cabins there. Which one do you want? I'll take cabin 22. She's like, well, okay, that's gonna be a $3,000 earnest money. Okay, no problem. I should have bought every single cabin there. I was smarter. But I have a big fat mouth, and the first person I called was my buddy Omid here. And I said, Omid, they have homes available. You need to go get one. And then I proceeded to call like 4 or 5 other people, just because I was so excited. Oh my God, they have brand new homes available. The next day, I call my agent up. I said, Avery, I'm an idiot. I should have bought more. Do you have anything else? She said, you idiot, you sold them all for me. I'm not an agent either. Like no commission, nothing, right? No referral fee. Yeah, his house is actually over here. But anyway, I mean that's me. I'm just giving. I'm like, I don't ever expect anything in return. I just am happy to see others start their own Airbnb business. So core principle change because they're trying to be this hard ass because now they're a landlord. I can't even like fake be mad. Like I yell at my kids and I got a smile on my face and like, you know what? So just be authentic. So that just means be you. I mean, I'm not going to change my personality just because I run a business now. So helping others is extremely important to me, being honest. Work hard. I'm not the smartest dude. I'm like a C student. But for me, my core principle is that the harder you work, the luckier you get. And the third principle, if you follow rule 2, you got to surrender the outcome. Just be happy with it, no matter what. Paying 0 in taxes. So I'm not a CPA, so don't take my advice. Remember, I'm a C student, okay? So there is a link in my Instagram. CPA Amanda Han, she has like some free tool there if you want to learn how to not pay anything in taxes. A lot of people ask me, oh, do you save your receipts and all this? You'll have a tax deduction if you go eat out at dinner. Like those things don't really mean anything. The biggest, the magic bit is in depreciation, right? So like these homes are giving me like $150,000 to $200,000 in write-offs year one. I think last year we had like $800,000 in write-offs. Yeah, so I actually did it wrong. I should have spread it out, but with short-term rentals, it's pretty cool. Is you don't need to be a real estate professional. So that book will talk a little bit about that. You don't need to meet the 700 real estate professional. Bare minimum, you could do 100 hours of material participation. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go. So last 2 years, I got a $41,000 tax refund. That first house gave me a $41,000 tax refund. It's life-changing, right? So what do I do with that money? I go and buy more short-term rentals with it. So I have more deductions and more cash flow. It's a good problem to have. So I continuously have to buy more and more stuff. So, this year too, I'll pay nothing in taxes. Investing is more of an art than it is a science. A lot of people will say, what market should I invest in? Is the Smoky Mountains, that's where my other home, all those homes are, they're in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. People will say, are those homes, is that a good market? It's really hard to say. For me, it's a really good market, but you could be an awful like Airbnb host, or you could be a really good Airbnb host and get more money. So the other homes that we showed you that were spec homes, there's a lot of owners that have the same exact homes. And some owners make like $20,000 more than me. It's like really frustrating. And some owners don't make that much because they're really restrictive. They're like, I'm not gonna let those people in my house. I have a good friend, she bought a really good short-term rental, fully furnished, beautiful table there. They went to take professional pictures. She put a white cloth over it because she didn't want anyone damaging the table. I'm like, you're in the wrong business. Like you need to let that table shine. And in the end, people are gonna jack up your furniture. That's what it is. Some people will have like cell phone pictures and some people have professional pictures. Obviously the ones that have professional pictures do a lot better, right? Some people have better descriptions. Some people have better customer service. I love my wife, but she's awful at customer service. She'll want to go off on the guest. I'm like, no, just turn the other cheek and move on. You know, we have another guest coming. So don't tell, oh, are we recording? I mean, I'm bad at customer service. Anyway, marketing is really important. Titles, there's pricing strategies. It's really weird. Like neighbors can have the same exact house, but their revenues are completely different. So it's not safe to say, oh, what will a 3-bedroom do? It's not like buying long-term rentals here in Anaheim. I could tell you what a 3-bedroom, 2-bath will do. They'll probably rent for $3,000, maybe $3,100. But with short-term rentals, the revenue will completely be different depending on the host. I just started being pet friendly. So a friend of mine, I had a house that I wasn't pet friendly. And then he has a house that's older than mine, smaller, and he generated $30,000 more in revenue. So I'm pet friendly now. So sometimes just doing one little thing. I mean, I can't even imagine trying to do that with long-term rentals. Like you might be pet friendly, or you might get $50 more a month or something like that. You might try to, I don't know, like build another ADU in the back, maybe get another like, $1,500 a month. Here, just going pet friendly, you could generate like 30 grand more, right? Crazy. Okay, networking is your best return on investment. So we have my buddy Omid here. So that's why I love going to these real estate events, because you never really know who you're gonna meet. And sometimes you meet someone and become really good friends with them, right? And then, so everyone to just keep coming to these events, whether it's this one, online as well, just keep going. You really never know. It's a numbers game for me. The more people I meet, the more I'll probably work with in the future. So self-managing from 2,000 miles away. That's kind of scary, right? So a lot of people are like, I would never invest in a short-term rental out of state. I mean, I'm doing it, right? So property managers, if you hire a property manager for your short-term rental, they're going to take 20 to 40% right off the bat. Typical property management for long-term rentals like 10%. I can tell you, you don't need them. And actually, they do an awful job. Not all of them. Like there's some really good ones out there. But what happens is property management companies, they have way too many homes. They'll have like 100 homes that they're trying to take care of, and everyone's checking out Sunday morning. And they have like 6 teams. And so they got to go in there and try to clean them all. And so they don't do as good of a job. The ones that charge you 20%, if you're gonna try to go on the cheap, like I always do, they're gonna nickel and dime you like crazy. Oh, you need to change a light bulb, $75. Like what? And so I see people are your biggest assets. I mean, if that's one thing you need to learn from here is that you will rely on people. Finding the right cleaners, that's going to be 80% of your work. You find the right one, you're okay. Any football fans here? Cleveland Browns fan? And we never have had, right? We right. I'm too loyal. I know. I told you, I make bad decisions, C student, you know. So we haven't had a quarterback in years, a good quarterback. Once you get a good quarterback, stick with them. Because when you don't have a quarterback, you're going to pay whatever you can. We paid our $250 million because we're so desperate. So when you find a good cleaner, pay them well and treat them like, and that's going to solve 80% of your problems right off the bat. What's cool is they actually have iCal links. So there's all this technology. So they know communication. I don't have to tell them, hey, Sherry, I got a guest coming in. I got a guest. They're checking out Monday. They just see it on their calendar. They'll accept it. That's it. There's almost no communication. I would say 95% of the time I don't hear from them. They'll tell me when something's wrong, like, oh my God, this guest was awful. They left a complete mess. I'm like, okay, sorry, here's a little bit more money. I appreciate you. I have a maintenance team once a month. That's kind of been a game changer for me the last 2 years. So once a month, I have someone go, they'll tighten all the chairs, right? All the loose doorknobs, loose toilet seats. I have them reset my Wi-Fi once a month now. Because the thing is, I found that my Wi-Fi was really slow. They'll check all my light. You know, they will do everything. Some of my TVs weren't connected to Wi-Fi. It's really weird. So then they connected those things, right? So I have a maintenance team. That's a game changer. And actually, that's $5 a month. Totally worth it, right? Totally worth it. A lot of times, like there'll be issues that guests are complaining about. And so what I'll tell them, I'll say, hey, Melissa, check to see the toilet because it was a little loose. Oh. So that helps me from buying a plane ticket and going out there. The one thing about managing 2,000 miles away is that I'm a DIY guy. I fix everything in my house. But being 2,000 miles away forced me to be CEO and really hire people out. So then that's how my business really grew. Because then I really started delegating the tasks. And you have to be okay with paying someone, okay, it'll be $70, okay, no problem. That's better than me flying out there and trying to do it myself, okay? I have a pool company. Pool companies come about like after every single turn and clean the pool. I have a pest company that comes once a month. That's also iCal, so they don't have to tell me when they're going. They just go automatically. We spray for termites once a year. Sniff for bed bugs. We do that every 3 months. Not a question about when, if you're gonna get bed bugs, when. So be very proactive with it. I have landscaper. There's trash pickup service. For some reason, I didn't think about this. I said, well, who's gonna take the trash in and out, right? If you're 2,000 miles away. So there's a company in Gulf Shores, Alabama. I pay them, oh my gosh, it's $30 every 3 months. They come twice. They come Sunday night to put the trash out, come back Monday to put it in, Wednesday, take it out, Thursday, back in. Hardly costs anything, right? Virtual assistants now. So since I'm 2,000 miles away, who cares? Let's put them 15,000 miles away. So I have 2 virtual assistants that help me with all this now too. My first one, we pay her $3 raise. I just got the text today. We're gonna pay her $5 an hour now. And we have to pay her 40 hours a week. But the thing is, me and him, we're still splitting it down the road because hiring more virtual assistants and he only had work for her for 20 hours. I came in and said, give her 20 hours. So anyway, virtual assistants, a well-stocked closet will be key. So I have backups to everything in there. The thing is, I think the biggest mistake people make is they expect their cleaners to do everything for them, but you have to support them. You have to give them all the tools. So I have so many backup things to everything, backup keys, backup blanks. I even had a backup TV, right? Because one of my houses has an outdoor TV. And I said, you know, TVs are cheap. I'll get one $300. Not only that, I'm going to program it with the Wi-Fi code already in it. And so sure enough, about a year later, the guest said, hey, the TV's not working. I said, okay, I'll send someone over there. 10 minutes later, they replaced the TV. Talk about customer service right there, right? They still give me 4-star review, bastards. Surrender the outcome, right? Leverage automation. This is why I really enjoy it, because like I said, I felt like I had this hack, like, oh my gosh, we're only working like 5-10 minutes a week, because a lot of this stuff is like automated. So Guesty for Host is my property management software, and it'll automate all of the messages. Well, not all of the messages. So what it does is if someone inquires, the number one question I get is, do you offer discounts? Right away, it says, no, we don't. Well, a little bit nice. They'll say, hey, Rosa, thank you for inquiring on our property. Here are top 5 questions we get. We don't offer any discounts. The people that are booking have to be 25 or older per HOA rules. And actually 2 of them don't have HOAs, but we just say that anyway. So, and then we say, you know, like some of the top questions that we get. And so that filters out a lot of the questions, right? And then so if somebody books, they get an automatic message. Hey, thank you. We're so excited for you to book with us. We're so excited to host you. Here are some of the house rules. A day before, and not only that, it will fill in like their name. You know, it'll fill in the dates they're coming in. It'll fill in their phone numbers or whatever. We'll give them a message the day before they arrive with the directions and with the door code and any other rules. And then the day after they stay, we'll say, hey, is everything okay? Just to make sure, you know, if they, you know, we just wanted to make sure you checked in safely. And then the day before they leave, we'll send them a message. And then the day that they're leaving at 10 a.m., thank you for staying with us. And then at 8 p.m., we send them another message. We say, hope you made it home safely. Just wanted to let you know you were an amazing guest and we just left you a 5-star review, right? Completely automated. Especially if you're having, like, sometimes you're having like 6-7 guest checkouts that day, right? So that will sit, and these tools, they're pretty cheap. I mean, I think I'm still grandfathered in and it's $9 a month. Right? I think now it's like $40 or something, but revenue management with dynamic pricing. So you guys ever book a flight like last minute? The price jumps up, right? So that's kind of what this does. It's gonna adjust the price up and down depending on the seasonality. So you might set your price. I could tell if it's an Airbnb host that's not very professional. They'll have a single price every single night, $250 every single night. But the Super Bowl just came to town, right? Or Coachella was here. You could have charged a lot more. So this dynamic pricing tool will adjust your prices up and down. I tell everyone it's like a Tesla. It's not fully automated. It still needs a driver behind the wheel. So you still need to adjust it a little bit, but that costs $20 a month. And some of the strategies I teach people will easily generate you $5,000 more per year just by using that tool, okay? Wi-Fi door lock. So what we do is, this is the Slagon code. That's what we use. There's all sorts of ones, but this is what a lot of my friends use. And so what happens is this tool will automatically digits of their phone number. Easy for them to remember. And they would always ask us, hey, what's the code again? And so before they arrive, we say, hey, Omid, just remember your door code is the last 4 digits of your phone number, 1234. They never ask us again, right? And then what it does is this program will actually delete it like right at checkout. Actually, we give them an hour grace period. So at 11 o'clock, anymore. And if they try to come in early and try to sneak in, the code won't work. So, which they try that all the time. We use dynamic QR codes. It's kind of like a landing page. That's been a game changer for us. So these QR codes, I put them in hot spots. Like most people don't have a hot tub. And so near hot tub, there'll be a QR code. If you're having issues, scan this, and it's a video of me in the hot tub. Like, hey, no, not me in the hot tub, but it's like a troubleshooting video. Like, hey, if you're having issues with the jets, click on this, blah, blah, blah. Or near Wi-Fi thermostat, some people don't know how to adjust it. I'll have the QR code there. Or anyway, and Asana is like a project management tool. So what I do is I pretty much write down every single task I have. So that was a game changer for me, because once I did that, then I felt like I could hire someone, because then I'm going to hire, this person to do it, this person. So that was my VA. So then you always want to think ahead to where you're going to hire someone else down the road. And if not, it's a good reminder, because what will happen is, like, October 1st, I just got this notification, oh, your permit's due, right? And then it says, click on this website, here's a username, password, click on this, click here, click here, click here. I make it dummy proof, where it's just, this is the exact steps to complete this procedure. So let's go over one of my deals. This is actually my favorite house. This is called The Only 10 I See. Brand new construction, came fully furnished, 4 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, and it has this indoor pool. That's what the indoor pool looks like in the bottom. It's only 4 feet tall, so it's like really small, but the kids absolutely love it. I think we just got our 80th 5-star review. I have 1 4-star review. It's still like bugging me, but it's like 4.99. That's my rating is. 20% down payment for this one, so $155,000 out of pocket, 4% interest rate, 30-year fixed. Closed at the end of May 2021, listed June 2021. Spent about $20,000 fixing it up. Like, I bought this stuff on Etsy. Like I said, it's more of an art than it is a science. Everyone in the community had 2 or 1. Forget that, I'm gonna get 2. I'm gonna stand out, right? And then I have this cool bunk bed system right here. So that cost me about $1,000. So I still kind of put finishing touches on it just to stand out, right? 2-week setup process, had to buy a hot tub, and the builder had a lot of issues. Monthly cost, my mortgage payment's $3,200, cleaners cost $275, a guest paid $299. We still make money off the cleaning. If you're breaking even on everything, let's say you have $20-30 each time, and it just pays time to help, set up the cleaner, which I don't even set up, it's automatic, right? $700, HOA is $230, covers water and sewer. I do provide cable and internet. I don't know why people ask that all the time. Some people just stream everything, but that's one anxiety people have. They're like, I still do. Total about $4,000 to $5,000. Annual cost about $60,000 to $70,000 out of pocket. So I need to break even. I need to generate about $70,000. And here's my numbers that generated $8,000. Lot of disbelief. Like, the numbers with short-term rentals are just mind-boggling, right? So the cool thing is I don't think a lot of short-term rentals to be financially free. I know people that have 3 and they're content with that. They don't need to scale up anymore, right? They don't want to deal with all the guests. You could just have 3 and be done with. So anyway, I didn't pay anything in taxes again. Profit was $78,000. Return on investment, 45%. I would take that deal any day of the week. And I should have kept buying more. So where am I going today, right? So I own 3 short-term rentals in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. I had a 4th one under contract. I just backed out of it. Short-term rentals in Gulf Shore. And I started a fund. Welcome Capital. You could visit our website, thewelcomefund.com, and we're going to be purchasing short-term rentals and hotels. I tell people to always keep an open mind, because if you told me 3 years ago you'd be investing in Tennessee, I don't even know where that is, or a beach in Alabama, what? I have no idea, But the thing is, just keep an open mind, meet as many investors as you can, because you'll never know. This is me and my buddy Josh, and our broker Blake, and a good contact in her name's Ruby. We're purchasing a wedding venue. I know nothing about weddings, right? That's not my thing. But when I broke down the numbers, I'm all about weddings now. Like, these things are going to cash flow. So there's 25 cabins on the community, and it has like a wedding event space. So we actually just got that under contract for 2.4 million. Really excited about it. We just got they're doing the inspection today and finishing tomorrow. We got a 76 unit hotel in Bentonville, Arkansas. I still can't locate it on the map. I'm gonna let you know right now. I don't know where Arkansas is, but that's where Walmart started, and they're pouring so much money into the area. We actually got that hotel for $3.6 million. We won it in an auction, put 10% out of pocket within 24 hours, and it just appraised for $6.5 million. You want to talk about just instant wealth, $3 million. And that's based on today's underperforming values. We think in about 2 years, it's going to be worth about $8.5 million. Okay. So that's my QR code. You guys, I do have cards up here, but scan it, add me to your contacts, and reach out anytime. Some people ask me about parties. Do you guys have parties or, at your Airbnbs? To be honest with you, I haven't had like a big raging party. I've had like a couple people, and that's fine, but not in people where they've had their house trashed, but I'm not though. Okay. And the thing is, you make so much money, it's like, okay, no big deal. Let's move on. How much time do you spend managing? So the thing is, I've obsessed with systems, creating like hiring VAs. If we just set it on autopilot, probably 2 hours a week. That's how much time we spend. Oh, I think my computer just died. I don't know what other questions were there. Does anyone else have any questions? Sure.
I have a question. So, for example, in
Big Bear,
where they had that order,
yeah,
the people voted and
yeah,
they don't want short-term rentals.
right.
You can have them on the county side, but not on the city side.
Right.
I would probably panic.
Yeah.
Be like, what are you going to do?
Right.
So
I invest in these markets. So the city, my first short-term rental was in, it's Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. The population is 6,000 people. Area. I know Big Bear, I think the people don't like it because they don't want to see all those other people coming through, but they rely so much on short. That's like asking Vegas, like, are you ever going to outlaw gambling? Like, I just don't see that happening in that market. So I'm just too chicken. I want easy. And so I don't want to fight like the locals or anything like that. The cool thing is 3 of my short-term rentals, all of them, they're in Tennessee. Every single home in that neighborhood, short-term rental. There's no homeowners there. The builder actually built them for short-term rentals. If you looked at the pictures, there was no garages, right? That's because what guest is going to use a garage. So I'm just too chicken for ordinances. Not saying I could have made so much more money, like if I invested in some of these areas that have ordinances. I know people that love investing in strict areas, like that have strict Airbnb laws, because what happens is it keeps people like me out. Yeah. So for me, like I said, I want easy money, so I choose to be in these markets, and I haven't had any issues. So.
Is it saturated so much, or a lot of the places like you mentioned?
Yeah. So the question is saturated. So I have a friend that's investing in Montana that's not saturated, right? There's hardly any Airbnbs there, and he's the king. There's 3 cleaners in town. That worries me more than anything, that I don't have the right people. So these markets are mature markets where there's a huge infrastructure there to help me manage. I'm not going to go out there to clean the property, right? And so that's why I like these more saturated markets, because there's a huge infrastructure there. And at that point, all we have to do is compete, right? I just have to stand out above my other competition, maybe allow pets, maybe have better decorations, maybe have a better pricing strategy. At a certain point, it does get really saturated because there's just way too many other short-term rentals in that area. But I tend to start looking at the market, when I'm looking to buy and I'm like, okay, can I have an impact here, or is my competition just too strong? If my competition is strong, what do I have to do above them? Maybe I try to find a house with a view and do exactly what they're doing. So I welcome saturation because then it's just a competition issue. So, any other questions?
Do you help get together?
Do I help?
Do you help in like setting up?
No, it's a lot of work. Like easy money. Okay, so I do help a ton of people. So I host like, I used to host weekly meetups, but I host them now monthly, and a lot of it has to do with like short-term rental topics. I'll bring CEOs on, realtors on from different markets. And whenever, if you guys follow me on social media and I'm out there, I'm an open playbook. I'm like, this is what I'm doing. You guys, this is what's worked. This is what hasn't. But setting up a short-term rental, it's a lot of work. But there's companies out there that help. Because some people are just way busy with their W-2. There's no way. Because when I go out there, like I said, I'm really handy. And this is the one thing that I haven't given up yet. When I buy a short-term rental, I go there and I spend 4 or 5 days. And it's back and forth trip to Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Hobby Lobby. And what I do is I obsess with making the property stand out. And not only that, I try to dummy proof it as much as possible. Because I think about the guest. I'm like, okay, how the guest is probably going to jack this up. What do I have to do to prevent them? Like something real simple. Like I know initially people were asking what the Wi-Fi code was all the time. So I started putting QR codes, like scan here to connect to the Wi-Fi. Right? So that's just something really simple, but it's like one task that I do for all of my rentals. So.
How often do you visit your short-term rental?
Well, okay, so how often do I visit my short-term rental? So I started, like less than 3 years ago, and it seems like I've been going every 6 months because I keep buying one in that market. And so whenever I'm there buying, I'm like, okay, let me visit my other short-term rentals. What you want to do is go out there at least once a year. So one of the things, the pros and cons about it, the short-term rental, one of the big pros is you get to use them. Like I've owned homes in Cleveland, and I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, and I never wanted to visit Cleveland. Like that's just not something I wanted to do. But I own vacation homes or beach homes, and I take my family there. And the cool thing is, one of the other benefits of real estate is you get to inspire others, not just strangers, but my kids. I know my kids think I'm a dumbass, but I'm like, hey, I got all this real estate, you know? So it's pretty cool because they're like, oh, wow, you know what? I think if he could do it, I think I could do something too. And I tell them all the time, you could do something way better than me because you're so much smarter. So anyway, we get to use our rentals. We go there at least once a year. Market research. So we try to eat at all the cool restaurants, and get a nice little tax write-off. We go to Dollywood. Yeah, so. Any other questions?
Your short-term renters, do you have them all in LLC?
Yeah, remember, C student, right? So I don't have them in the LLC. There's a lot of people that put everything in the LLC. What you'll find is when you first try to buy the home as a 10% vacation home loan, like with me, I was trying to leverage as much as possible. They don't want to see that in an LLC because it's your personal home, right? It's your vacation home. So I'm not saying that I am structuring it in the future to have that, but I just haven't gotten to it, to be honest with you. That's actually one of the most common questions we get, and it's very mixed. And even my CPA tells me she doesn't really care either way, because you're not going to get more tax breaks being an LLC or not. So, Omid, what's up? So wedding venue, yeah. So what I'm looking for is limited partners to invest a certain amount. Minimum is $50,000, and they're limited partners in it. And we wind up splitting it 70-30. Like let's say if it profits $1 million a year in cash flow, the investors are going to get 70% of that. I get 30% of that. All we ask them is to put up the money to help us purchase these properties, and hopefully you look at my track record and say, hey, I think he could, make a good return. And the thing is, I've already put my own money into the deal too. So anyway, there's my card and my QR code. They'll have a website there. I have some YouTube videos about the properties that I have under contract, if you guys are interested in any of that. So yeah.
About that, I see, I follow you on
Oh.
social media.
Oh, hey, thanks.
Hey,
You didn't like my last video though. How come?
you have to be accredited though, right?
Yeah.
Investor. So what does that mean?
So accredited investor means you're making $200,000 a year for the last 2 years. If it's a married couple, it's $300,000, or you have $1 million worth of assets minus your primary home. So if your primary home has $300,000 of equity, we can't count that. It has to be. It could be like your 401k. It could be some of the cars you own, or some other rental properties that you have. So, yeah.
So if I have a long-term rental and I'm cash flowing, let's say it's worth $1 million or $1.5 million.
Yeah.
It's only cash flow, let's say $500.
Yeah. Sell it.
And where should I invest?
That's going to be a personal preference, because some people like the easy money. Some people like the easy, like no maintenance. Like I said, guests are going to make you cry sometimes just because they complain about certain things. People are high maintenance sometimes. Some people like passive investments. And some people want to keep that $1.5 million home because it's by the beach and it's going to be worth $3 million down the road, or they have something else, or there's some sentimental value. What I tell people is calculate your return on equity. So if you have $1 million in equity right now and it's generating $500, that's your $1 million is making you $6,000 a year. To me, that's not good enough. You need your money to work harder for you. I think that's a 0.6% return. I could put that in, just an index fund or something like that and generate way more income. Unless you believe in that market where you really like this house and you can't let it go, then I would just leave it. But that's kind of why I started selling my long-term rentals. I had $100,000, $150,000 in equity, and they were only cash flowing like $100. Like, come on, it wasn't worth. And not only that, like 3 years later, like every 2-3 years, they would move out, and I'd have to spend $5,000 fixing it up. It was a pain in the butt. Or you would have them. Some tenants wouldn't pay anymore. If you ever been through one eviction, that's the other thing. Short-term rentals, you'll never have to deal with the eviction, right? They're trespassing at that point, and they pay up front. I love getting that notification on your phone. Ding-ding-ding. Oh, we just got paid, baby. We're going Sizzler. Remember, I'm cheap, so. So yeah, they pay up front, no tenant laws. That's the thing. I mean, Southern California, you have a lot of, you can have squatters. I mean, to me, it's so much riskier. How long could someone squat? I had a friend buy a duplex. She came to me and said, I just bought a duplex in Long Beach. I'm like, great. How's it going to go? She said, oh, there's tenants in there. I have to pay each one $25,000 to move out. Like, what? Right off the bat, that's, $50,000. That's not any cosmetic fix-ups or anything. That's just getting your tenant out there. You don't have to deal with that crap for short-term rentals. The other thing I'd recommend is midterm rentals. I love midterm rentals. They're a lot more passive. So it's in between. You have short-term rental, midterm rental, long-term rental. The harder you work, the more money you'll make. And this is going to be a lot more passive, right? So you're not going to make as much money, at least up front. And there's something in between for people. Some people do want to make a little bit more money, but they don't want to work as hard with the short-term rental. And the thing is, the midterm rentals, I know some people making more money than me because they're doing something really savvy. They're going straight to insurance companies. Like, hey, if anyone's house ever burns down, I got this for rent. I had a friend, she rents a place in Dana Point, $15,000 a month. And it stays booked 100% of the time. And there's hardly any work either with the midterm rental. Yeah. I had another friend in Atlanta. She wound up renting a place in August. And it was like she thought it was a scam. There was a company coming to her and saying, hey, we have this baseball player wanting to rent from you. And it wound up being a player that was traded from the Oakland A's to the Atlanta Braves. And then it wound up, they're like, oh, he's going to stay till September because they're probably going to get eliminated. But that team wound up making the playoffs. And so he stayed till October. And then end of November or end of October, he wound up winning like the MVP to the World Series. I said, let him stay for free. Put your jersey up. Do something. Market it. So sometimes, and he was paying $15,000 a month too. And the one thing is, once you get like a contract with the insurance agent, they're coming back to you like, oh, we have a flood. We have a vandalism. We need to house a family for a little bit. So that could be another thing. If you think short-term rentals are too much, think about midterm rentals.
You consider midterm like over 30 days?
Yeah.
Like, what's that?
Over 30 days, yeah. And the thing is, like, you get people worry about squatters and all of that. You go through an insurance agent, let them squat. An insurance agent or the insurance company is going to pay the rent, right? So, or you could go with a travel nurse. Your travel nurses have to get, they have to move on at a certain point, right? Hopefully. So that's a big thing too. Any other questions? No? All right, so yeah, I have cards up here if anyone needs a card. If anyone wants to speak to me privately, more than welcome to message me anytime. I'm an open book, text me. I'm actually off the next 2 weeks. I'll be in Nashville March 20th to 23rd. But other than that, I'm kind of just hanging out talking to investors. So, okay, cool. Thanks, guys.